Well, hello and thank you for joining me for another Alex on Tech and ITY TV interview. I'm joined today by Jornt Moerland. He's the Regional Vice President APAC at Mendix. Welcome to the program.
Thanks, Alex. A pleasure to be here.
Thank you for taking the time. Now, let's start at the beginning. And can you please tell us about Mendix and when you arrived in the ANZ market?
Yeah, absolutely. So Mendix was founded in 2005 in the Netherlands by Roel, Dirk, and Dirk Jan out of a pure frustration that software development is extremely hard and fails more often than it succeeds. So they created Mendix in the belief that software development could only be significantly improved if there was a paradigm shift in the way we develop applications. So since then, Mendix has been a pioneer in the low-code and market and was recognized as a leader in the 2021 Magic Quadrant of Gartner for enterprise low-code application development platforms. Historically, you see that we have a strong footprint in Europe and North America. But after the acquisition of Siemens in 2018, we expanded rapidly in the Asia-Pacific region, including China, Japan, Korea, and of course also Australia. So we established our presence here in Australia in late 2020 with a small local team. And we have been expanding ever since. So we currently have an install base of around 20 plus customers from various industries, including banking, financial services, insurance, one of the biggest energy companies, public sector, logistics as well with Toll Group. And everyone in Australia should also know Cooper's Brewery, which is also a customer of Mendix.
Now, we hear a lot about low code in the marketplace. It's been around for a couple of decades. But can you tell us more about the Mendix platform and what makes it unique compared to other players in the market?
Yeah, so Mendix is the all-in-one low-code platform for the enterprise that covers the complete application lifecycle, all the way from ideation to requirements management to application development with automated deployment, integrated testing, and monitoring capabilities. And then if we hone into the low-code capabilities themselves, you see that Mendix is the only platform in the market that covers the complete developer spectrum, all the way from citizen developers to hardcore developers, allowing them to build all the components of a business solution in a single platform, ranging from front-end capabilities like progressive web apps to native mobile, even augmented reality. And also complex logic, data modeling, integration, and it all with one-click deployment to any cloud, thanks to our cloud-native architecture. Perhaps also good to mention that most of our regulated industry customers, we are actually highly secure. So a lot of our regulated customers standardize on Mendix as well. So, for example, we are FedRAMP certified. Working with the key players in the US and UK defense industry, including BAE System, for example.
Now, I guess it's pretty normal these days to develop, if you're starting something new or over the last couple of decades, a sort of a cloud native approach. And I understand that is the approach Mendix has taken. And you've mentioned some of the different, categories and customers and areas. But, what are the other benefits that you want to really highlight for enterprises that are using the Mendix platform?
Yeah, so our cloud native and stateless runtime architecture enables apps developed on our platform to benefit from being portable, scalable, and also resilient out of the box. So first and foremost, you can deploy your Mendix application anywhere because the Mendix applications built are by default containerized, which enables them to run on any environment, any operating system, and any cloud hyperscaler like AWS, Azure, OpenShift, or on an on-premise setup. So this gives our customers the flexibility to support their multi-cloud strategy. And then thanks to our stateless architecture, you can scale your Mendix applications without the need for the redesigning them or re-architecting them. So you can horizontally scale by adding additional resources or runtime instances to handle the increased processing loads because of, for example, an uptick in user requests or transactions. And then the fact that the state is managed outside of the runtime means that additional resilience is built in because you can easily fill over one runtime to another. And then since we also support out of the box real-time backup and recovery, your mission critical applications can be safely and securely hosted on our cloud or your own cloud for that matter.
So what type of apps are enterprises typically using Mendix to develop? And do you have any examples of any major use cases globally?
Yeah, absolutely. So Mendix, with Mendix, it's all about building great user experiences, being a customer layers for organization to tie it all together, building on top of your core data systems, adding in new technologies such as IoT, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and then bringing this all together on any kind of device. So on a very high level, we see that we can distinguish four typical use cases: the innovative experiences, the customer engagement applications, operational efficiency use cases, and then also the modernization of core systems. So when we talk about innovation, it's all about building fast and failing fast, or ideally be successful.
Succeeding fast.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's all about rapidly launching new business models. And a great example there is the face code application that we built for Zurich, one of the biggest global insurance companies. So the application allows you to take a selfie. Based on that selfie, a service estimates your age. And based on that age, they give you an instant life insurance premium on your mobile phone that you can actually lock down right then and there. So they built those applications that in actually 2 weeks, and after the launch, it became an instant hit. It became an instant hit. And becoming actually a great example of a Zurich customer engagement application. And we talk about customer engagement apps. It's all about building great use cases, user experience on effectively any device. And very typical examples are mobile banking apps or mobile apps in a mobile banking apps. So, for example, Rabobank in Europe, which is also active in Australia, or Al Baraka Bank in South Africa, they built their mobile banking applications on the Mendix platform, serving around 500,000 users on a daily basis with that solution. When we talk about operational efficiency, it's all about automating internal processes, workflows to deliver on cost savings or improving processes to better serve your customers. And then lastly, if we think about the modernization or the extension of your core systems, it's all about keeping the core clean or extending the life cycle of your investments. And a great example there is Continental, which is one of the biggest OEM car suppliers in the world. It's a German company, and they standardize their ERP on SAP. And for all the good reasons, they want to keep it as plain vanilla as possible, right? Reduce maintenance costs, but also upgrading in the future. And what they do is they build all their customizations, all their extensions, all their differentiating processes on the Mendix platform. And in this case, it's on top of SAP, but you can imagine that any core system is a potential candidate for that use case. So that's pretty much high level the typical use cases that we cover.
Sure. And it's clever to, not customize that main platform like SAP too much. I know that with WordPress and other sort of platforms, people have all these different plugins. And then when you go to the next version, you got to make sure the plugins are updated, and it's a bit of a nightmare. So it's a clever use case for Mendix to be able to do all that customization elsewhere and then have flexibility with the main platform. And so, I hadn't thought of it like that in this application, but it makes sense. But, as we're recording today, we've got the Jobs and Skills Summit happening from the federal government in Canberra, and, jobs and skills. We've got the current skills shortage. There was an announcement actually of 180,000 TAFE places being funded by all the state governments. So there's definitely a skills shortage across many areas, not just IT. But, I guess, would this be another reason why low-code developer platforms right now are becoming, even more important?
No, absolutely, Alex, absolutely. So according to Gartner, the global demand for new applications is expected to grow 5 times faster than the capacity and the ability for IT teams to deliver on this. And this problem actually is even more acute in Australia, where there's a chronic talent scarcity, currently probably amongst the worst in the world, right? So if you just think about a few statistics there, right, it is expected that for every 8 software engineers needed in Australia, only 1 is graduating every year. And by 2025, the Tech Council of Australia is forecasting that Australia needs 260,000 more people in technology jobs than they currently have now. So if you think about that, and you consider already that Australian businesses are having difficulties finding tech talent right now, and therefore experiencing significant skill shortages, the problem will be further amplified as the years go on. So Low code can relieve this talent shortage by opening the door to a much bigger pool of new citizen developers to build these applications much faster.
So that's another thing that you talked about citizen developers. I haven't heard that term before. I've heard developers a million times before. So what is citizen development, and what is its role in the future of the application development process? I mean, I guess you just explained that, but who do you class as a citizen developer?
Yeah, it's actually quite of a broadly used term, and it typically refers to a business domain expert that is creating business applications without the need for coding. And perhaps it's good to actually describe it with an example. In this case, it's very close to home myself. I started my career at Mendix way back when, developing and delivering actual applications. And even though I had a finance degree and never produced a line of code in my life, and still haven't, I have built enterprise-grade, highly complex, mission-critical solutions. Maybe one example that's already more than 10 years ago. The last time also actually was active on the platform, I have to say, other than just hopping around, was a loan origination system that we built for the Development Bank of Canada in Montreal, and it was a highly integrated system with over 100 interfaces back to rating engines, Microsoft CRM, and AS400 legacy systems, SharePoint. And I was part of the development team playing a critical role there, and this would have never been possible with anything else than the Mendix low-code platform. And for me, obviously, a whole opportunity, a whole new world has opened up for me in that respect. So if you look at the Mendix platform, we provide no-code development capabilities with a web IDE, catered towards the citizen developers, the people that have absolutely no coding skills or no technical skills. We have a low-code development environment supported by a desktop IDE, where more technical business analysts can develop enterprise-grade solutions. And then hardcore developers can also extend these applications with high code if they needed to do so. And therefore, the full spectrum of developer types are covered by the Mendix platform. And by allowing these citizen developers and professional developers to collaborate in a single platform, you create the best of both worlds by leveraging the business domain knowledge as well as the technical expertise that is required to build more complex technical requirements if they present themselves. So given the current developer shortage, we see that IT departments will struggle to deliver on all the application needs of the business. So citizen development will definitely represent the best bet for these organizations to overcome these challenges by enabling faster time to value. You can leverage your existing talent within your business functions, and thereby you tap into a complete new pool of future citizen developers.
Well, it used to just be a dream. Programmers, were programmers and they worked very hard, but now you can have people who are not programmers who can be programmers, and so that is
they also work hard. They will work hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I mean, absolutely. But what I mean is, the programmers that learnt C and Pascal and assembly and all those sort of things, it was much more involved sort of thing. You had to be really focused on that. But now with low code, I mean, I guess the dream of object-oriented programming from when I was a kid has been realized. You just bolt things together on screen. It's almost like what you see is what you get.
It is exactly that. Yeah, it's called WYSIWYG, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that was a revolution when it came true for desktop publishing, and now it has come true for development. So the pace of innovation has been rapidly increasing, and we saw all the ongoing digital acceleration caused by the pandemic. So how does Mendix help enterprises drive composable business? And you can explain what composable business is, and why does low-code developer platforms, why are they now essential tools to the digital ecosystem, to the tech stack, in staying relevant for today and tomorrow?
Absolutely. By the way, Alex, should not be confused with compostable, right?
Well, that's what I was thinking.
So when you talk about the composable organization, right, it's first and foremost a business philosophy to structure an organization from interchangeable building blocks. And when you break this down to understand how you can support this by technology, you can distill 3 value drivers. It's about modularity for greater agility and speed. It's about portability for increased flexibility, and it's also about autonomy for improved resilience. And then when you look at where Mendix helps at each of these differentiators, right? You see that we support modularity by building for reusability. So you build once and then leverage this throughout your organization. And you think about assets like UI components, style sheets, APIs to your core systems or any other system for that matter, technical components like single sign-on or authentication in more generic terms, but also business rules, logic that you can build once and leverage throughout your enterprise by leveraging the Mendix private app store. We also briefly covered that Mendix allows for relative small agile DevOps teams to build applications really fast as standalone but highly integrated business capabilities or what we call microservices. And by using a container-based deployment model, these microservices can be deployed on any cloud in an automated fashion to safeguard the quality, ensuring it's repeatable, making the Mendix apps highly portable within your deployment infrastructure. And then when we look at autonomy, for Mendix, this refers to just as much to the development of applications as well as the running of applications themselves. So Mendix democratizes application development to include a much larger pool of citizen or business developers to take part in the development process of the applications. So you effectively decentralize the app development, fostering a much higher degree of empowerment and also collaboration in your organization, while at the same time stay in control over the deployment, the hosting, and the monitoring and the security of the application. So this ensures that a much more resilient organizational setup that produces high quality apps that are closer to what the business actually needs.
So what you've just explained really is how the app development process has been completely transformed by both low-code and even no-code development processes. And this is why a company's developers are able to get, fully up to speed in creating apps in this, even though it's been around for nearly 20 years, in this new way.
Absolutely. And in its very essence, right, low-code is a visual way to define and express what software should do, using a drag and drop approach to develop these applications.
Yeah.
And therefore, most of the simple repetitive tasks that enterprises face in traditional development are automated or abstracted away. So in addition to that, the model-driven development capabilities provide incremental benefits because these models or these applications as a whole can be checked for consistency, can be automated tested, so eliminating the need for dedicated technical testers. And the overall quality of the application itself can be rated and assessed in a very simple and straightforward way. And when you have smaller teams that include citizen or business developers, there's also no need to translate the requirements into technical specifications, eliminating a lot of overhead in the process. So this not only increases the productivity, but you also deliver these apps faster and significantly enhancing the quality of the final product itself as well. And that in the end means you need fewer people to build these applications. And we see that our customers that work with the Mendix platform can reduce their development time and effort up to 70%.
Yeah, well, it's clear that this is a very mature and sophisticated platform in 2022. It's not, it's not just, one way of looking at it is like, building with Lego blocks, but these are really sophisticated Lego blocks. It's like blocking in the entire kitchen with all the plumbing. Everything's already there, just bang, And so it saves all that time in all the intricate development of apps, because a lot of that plumbing stuff has now been standardized and is quite easy. And I'm sure it's easy to, if you need to customize it for some way, you can do that quite easily too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned before a whole stack of customers, toll and banking customers, but you've got 20 local companies and organizations from various sectors in Australia alone. You mentioned the banking services, the education, logistics, IT, but are there any extra ones you'd like to name and give any extra examples of how they're using the Mendix platform successfully and locally?
Absolutely, that's correct, Alex. So let me bring this up with three different examples. And you already mentioned Toll Group, which is one of the largest logistics companies here. So they acquired Mendix over a year ago as a strategic capability to increase their time to market, get better control over their IT landscapes, and then also empower their citizen developers to take a larger part of the development process. They focus primarily on customer engagement applications as well as internal productivity apps. So, for example, to increase their driver productivity and bring the cost down of delivering parcels. But they also focus on innovation. So they, for example, hosted internal hackathons where they include business stakeholders to come up with game-changing ideas that are then translated in actual applications. And we're currently working with them to bring 3 of those ideas, 3 of those applications into production. So they're effectively standardizing their whole application development landscape on the Mendix platform. The other example that we talked about, that I briefly mentioned earlier, was Cooper's Brewery, a well-known company in Australia, I think. And it is a great use case because they were already a Siemens manufacturing customer and a Siemens software customer. They're using Ops Center, which is the Siemens manufacturing execution systems. And a good example in this context is a application that we built in the context of their lab management solution. So we built a quality assurance tasting app that confirms the taste, the color, the smell, and other quality factors of the beer before it's approved. And that connects their lab system to their warehouse to streamline the release of beer into the overall supply chain.
I'm just wondering, do you know if the lab testing app uses sensors to taste all that, or humans for the beer?
Actually, no, it's true. There's people involved. So there's actually people that are testing it. And actually, they still do the best job in these days.
Absolutely. Yeah, no. That's the answer I wanted to hear. Yeah, I did want to hear that it was sensors.
Well, there's definitely sensors involved, but there's also definitely a human component to it as well. Yeah.
No, I'm just being silly. And there was a third example you wanted to give?
Yeah, so a third example is CountryNet, which is an Australian technology provider that built a product called EduConnect, which is a student information management system that is used by around 1,000 schools here in Australia. And they faced a growing demand from their customers for new features, capabilities, and they were not able to respond to all these requirements effectively. So they adopted Mendix instead of their existing technology to actually build these features much faster. So these days it takes hours and days instead of the weeks and months it took them previously. And CountryNet is different as a customer in that they build solutions for the market. So it's a good example of an ISV model. So effectively they build IP on top of the Mendix platform that they then monetize as a SaaS offering in the market. So I think that's a great example of our investment and our collaboration to build out an ecosystem, which is one of our key pillars also in a go-to-market strategy. So, for example, currently we're working very closely with the Deloitte, the Accentures, the Capgemini's, and then also an ever-growing list of channel and these ISV partners like CountryNet. Maybe one other thing to mention here as well is that we also team up with universities to invest in new talent. So, for example, the University of Queensland provides a curriculum with Mendix that exposes over 500 students each semester to Mendix to design and build their applications on the Mendix platform, with obviously the intent to create a groundswell of new talent to address some of these developer shortages that we just addressed earlier. Yeah.
So with all of this advancement over the past, since 2005, where else do you see Mendix evolving over the next couple of years?
Yeah, so a few things. So our founder, Derek Roos, would always joke with a serious tone, we're just getting started. Yeah. And Mendix, it still feels that way, right? We see an appetite for our customer in a couple of domains that we will anticipate on and invest in. And first and foremost, we'll focus on experiences that are ready for the B2C space, the business to consumer space. We are, for example, the only platform that currently supports progressive web apps and also React Native from a single IDE. And we ultimately want to run on any type of device, from smartwatches to HoloLenses or any augmented reality product for that matter. So we want to differentiate ourselves in such a way that we are the partner that allows our customers to be wherever their users might be. The other pattern that we're seeing is relating to governance. So we have customers who are developing hundreds of applications per year, and they need to manage an extensive application landscape. So you think about user groups, the checks of code bases, the metrics around performance. So you name it, right? And we have added a product called Control Center to our platform that covers all these capabilities, and more capabilities and investments will be made in the future to effectively manage your application landscapes. We will also be adding more user personas to the development experience. So when we first started, we had only developers in our platform, but now we see that all kinds of business stakeholders like product owners, security officers are using our platform to really change the way software development is being done. So we want to make sure that all the stakeholders involved in application development and also hosting find a home in the Mendix platform. And then maybe the last area of focus is about scalability and composability we talked about earlier. We will keep investing in capabilities that supports the composable enterprise in all its aspects and all its facets. So including the continued evolution of our cloud native capabilities, and also the microservices architecture that we're already supporting right now.
So I'm not sure if this answers the next question, but what does the future of the low-code movement look like?
Yeah, so Gartner is predicting that by 2023, maybe the start or maybe the end, I don't know, but by then 75% of the large enterprises will be using at least 4 low-code development tools. But not all low-code is created equal. We see that it is also used as a buzzword by a lot of the incumbent players in the market. A lot of existing technologies are introducing low-code capabilities merely as a feature or an add-on to their existing technology offering. And the moment you step then out of the environment, you resort to high code and you lose all the flexibility. At the end, we believe that all players in the markets have their own right of existence, and it depends on the use case to determine what is the best fit for you as a customer. So naturally, you'll see that organizations have multiple forms of low code, and that is quite frankly a great thing. But within the space, we bring the low code mentality to all parts of application development as the all-in-one low code platform for the enterprise. So we enable a wide range of users to become part of the custom software development process, because that is where you differentiate yourself as an organization. And I think in that respect, the future is probably already here today. Maybe one last thing that we're also seeing is the utilization of more and more AI assisted development, which is also already an integrated part of our platform. And this will further increase the productivity and also the quality of ultimately the developed solutions in the space. Yeah.
Reminds me of the saying about taking the low road or the high road. So it's obviously nowadays you can ask about the low code and the high code, and you should be taking the low code.
Yes. I remember that one.
Yeah.
I remember
Well,
that
I mean,
one.
it's just a famous thing. You should always try and, if there's famous old sayings, try and modify them for the new reality, the new world.
I'll talk to our marketing team for sure.
That's it. Absolutely, absolutely. Well, you can I don't know, tell them I want 0.1% of profits. Now, as we get towards the end of the interview, I always like to ask if you could please share a memory of your first computer.
Yeah. So I have 2 memories. So my first gaming experience was Home Pong, which I believe was from Atari. So
Yeah.
and it wasn't, I think it was like just a generation before me. I like to think that, and we got it from my grandparents. I must have been 5-6 years old, right? It's the 2 bars.
And the ball. I mean, that was launched in 1972. That game is 50 years old.
Yeah. And then like this switch, but that was literally the first thing. And then soon enough, my friends had the Nintendo 8-bit, and then one thing came to another. And obviously that's what we played a lot. And our first personal computer was, I think, a 386, and I remember that it has the 5.25-inch floppy drive, which was perfect as well. So that was funny as well. And then soon enough we got better ones, so we start playing Prince of Persia, SimCity, and great times. I recently actually bought a Switch for my daughters, and now we're playing Mario Kart together as well. And obviously this is a good excuse because they have this whole set of like the old games, right? That they release and that you can play around as well. So it's actually quite fun. Yeah.
Retro gaming has come back in style. Yeah. I don't know if retro coding will ever come back in style now that we have low code, but you never know.
We're not sentimental about high code.
No,
No.
that's for sure. That's for sure. Now, my second last question is always to ask if you could please share some of the best advice you've received in life to help you get where you are today.
Yeah, that's tough. I've been very fortunate that I really love what I do, and that I have a passion for what I do, and work with a great team that shares the same passion for what they do as well. So in that respect, I think that is, that's an advice that I would give others. So that's a really great thing. And if I think about that question, maybe the one thing that's also come from one of our founders, right, is start before you're ready, because you never are ready, and that doesn't mean you don't prepare well, right? You're not jumping out of a plane without a parachute. But it's always been our mojo at Mendix, to define a goal, you prepare well, you make the intentional steps towards that common goal, and be ready to respond to inherent challenges that will come your way. And it's really easy for people not to get started because there's always something or reason to be found that you're not ready. And I really think that we are today where we are because of the mentality at the Mendix organization. So that's the one thing I would say, is a good advice that I followed up on. Yeah,
Yeah, don't let the quest for perfection prevent you from even getting started.
just do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what is your final message to ITY viewers and readers, and to your current and future customers and partners?
Well, we love to talk to you, right? As you can tell, we're very passionate about our mission to democratize application development and transform your organization to build new digital experiences. So we love to support you in this journey. So please do not hesitate to reach out, to contact us directly and talk to us about low code in general, and Mendix specifically, right? So go to our website, leave your details, call us up. There's a phone number as well. Connect with me on LinkedIn. We organize events as well, so monthly webinars. We have breakfast meetings in Sydney and Melbourne. You're invited as well if you'd like to come. And of course, we will be attending the Gartner IT Symposium in the Gold Coast as well. So ample opportunity to connect. So love to have the conversation.
Absolutely. Well, it's very evident to see your passion, Jornt. Jornt Moerland, Regional Vice President APAC for Mendix. Thank you very much for taking the time to join us. I wish you the best of success, and I hope we can talk again in the future.
Absolutely, Alex. Thanks so much for your time as well. It was a true pleasure.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.